So for one, hotels are real estate, right? So it's the operating business sitting on real estate. So a Hampton Inn that you'll get in New York City may not be the same price as a Hampton Inn in Atlanta. So true. It's hard to say what a range would be because there's some hotels for $400,000 all the way up to $1 billion, right?
You know, I never thought that the average person like you and I could actually own a hotel of their own. At least not until I met today's guest, who went from working nights at a hotel front desk to now owning a hotel of her own. Hi there, it's Sewa, and welcome to another episode of the She's Off Script podcast, where we help you create your own unique blueprint for success. As I was saying, today's guest, Devin Reeves, went from working nights at a hotel front desk to then having an internship with a hotel investment firm that hired her on and taught her the ropes. Everything from how to build a hotel from the ground up, how to find the right investors, how to run a profitable hotel, and so much more. She is now on a mission to teach the average person how to do it for themselves. So if you're interested in having a hotel as a fully fledged business or as an investment vehicle, this is going to be a great episode for you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. We release new ones every Thursday in both audio and video format. All right, let's dive into the episode. Devin Reeves, welcome to She's Off Script. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Sewa.
So for anyone who hasn't heard of you or come across you before, could you share who you are and what you do?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Devin Reeves. I am the founder and president of the Davonne Group. We are a hotel consulting firm where we teach people how to become successful hotel owners. And I am also one of the co-owners of the 85-room Home 2 Suites by Hilton in El Reno, Oklahoma.
So how did you even get into the hotel ownership industry? Let's start there.
I get it. So I get that question like all the time, right?
Yeah, because the average person does not own a hotel. So how did you get into it?
And it's so crazy because in my circle, everyone owns hotels.
Really? Well, I guess you attract like attracts like, right? Mm-hmm.
It's like a topic of conversation. So actually I've been in the industry for over 14 years, probably over 15 years now. I actually started off as a front desk agent at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta. So just like a lot of people at that time, I did not know that you could own a hotel. So, talking about buying a hotel, owning a hotel, that was not talked about at the dinner table. It was not talked about growing up. Definitely even, like I said, I was a front desk agent. It's just something that just didn't come to mind because at that time, the Hyatt actually owned the hotel that I was working in. So I just thought that all the hotel brands owned their own hotels.
And so how did you make that transition then into thinking I can own this, believing it? Because it honestly is mindset as well.
Oh, it definitely is a mindset. Once I realized that there were people that were my same age, like in my 20s, who were owning hotels. People from the Indian community or Asian community, they owned hotels because actually over 50% of the hotels in America are actually owned by Indians.
What? That's
right?
Staggering. So clearly they know something that the rest of us don't. And I know you're about to show us.
Yeah. And so they were able, and I was a part of, it's called the American Hotel Lodging Association Under 30 Gateway at the time when I was under 30. And I was a part of a group. I actually led that group. I was one of the chairwoman, but there were a lot of people from different parts of the industry. I was in operations. There were folks who were owning hotels, in marketing, asset management, investments. And I said, oh my goodness, there's a whole wide world out there. And there was a lot, and I realized that's where the money was, right? And so that really was the turning point that actually shifted my mind to think about hotel ownership. Once I saw that other people can do it, and I started to become curious. I did not go to school for finance or economics or real estate. So I had to be creative when it came to getting to the hotel ownership side, or getting into. So what I did, I took a non-paid internship. And so that was my introduction to hotel ownership. So that's
who did you intern with?
Management. Say it again.
Who did you intern with?
The company is called Horwath HTL. It's a international hotel consulting firm based out of Atlanta. Here I'm based in Atlanta too. And so I was working there non-paid in the morning, and then I actually, still working at the Hyatt at night. So working from like 9 to 9 every day, or 9 to whenever I got off every day for about 3 months. And Horwath decided to keep me on. They brought me on. And that's where I learned about feasibility studies, development consulting, all the nitty gritty, right? Seeing a dirt of land and having developers come in and say, I want to build this 300 room hotel with a spa and this and that. And I said, oh, wow. And so I was there for about 2.5 years, and I moved to Boston, worked for C.H. Warnick, still in asset management, but those was a larger firm. And that's where I really learned about asset management from the ownership side. So throughout my timeline, my clients were hotel owners. So what the better way of understanding hotel ownership than the clients who, and a lot of them didn't look like me. To this day. I mean, now it's getting better. Now we getting better. But at the time, it wasn't a lot of people who looked like me who own hotels. And it's still not, because less than 2% of the hotels in the United States are owned by African Americans, and less than 1% are owned by African American women. And so, I got tired of going to these conferences, and I would be like the only Black person there, besides the people who worked at the hotel. And so I wanted to help change that and bring more people who look like me and more women. And it is starting to change. So I'm happy to see that, now when I go to these industry conferences, it is, where it's getting a little bit diversified, because typically it was like white people and Indians, and that's it.
Well, I think with knowledge comes power, right? As people learn more about how to break into it, they get more and more confident bringing their own people in as well. But I would say one of the biggest hurdles people probably need to go across when they're thinking about hotel ownership is, where do I find the money to build a hotel? Now, I know there are different classes and sizes of hotels, and I'm sure they all cost, different amounts. So maybe we start there. What are the different types of hotels? How much do they cost? And where am I going to find the money to buy them?
I'm pulling out my Monopoly piece.
You're the hotel. Yep.
So, Monopoly, right? You had to buy 4 houses to get to a hotel. And so what you just touched on, and actually what I teach about in my courses, and what I teach about in my my upcoming book is coming out in January 25th, 2022. Make
Congratulations.
Sure you go to that. Definitely pre-order. I talk about all those things that you just mentioned. How to find capital or find equity partners, how to find deals, right? How to, and really it's just getting into the room, right? Networking, your net worth really depends on your network, right? And so people ask me, the first question is, well, how did you get there? Well, like I said, I've been in the industry for over 15 years, so I was able to develop a lot of relationships, right? And throughout those relationships, that's how I was able to find the deal in Oklahoma, through a broker relationship that I had years ago.
So before we get that, like, take us back. So just kind of lay the foundation for us on those different types of hotels and how much potentially it's going to cost for each of those different types of hotels.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, thanks for that. Because I get so excited to just be gone. Oh my gosh. So for one, there's over like 100 brands. Okay. There's 100 brands. So for my folks who always want to start their own brand, I'm like, this probably went out there already. There are several different types of hotels. There are limited service hotels. Limited service would be like a Hampton Inn. Sure, you've heard of a Hampton Inn, a Hyatt Place. That's a select service. An economy hotel would be like a Super 8 or a Days Inn. A full service, and basically what that means is it doesn't have the same amenities as a full service hotel, right? So if you go into a Hampton Inn, but you go into Hilton, you don't get that same type of experience, those same type of amenities. Hampton Inn, you get the free breakfast. DoubleTree is a full service hotel. You get the cookie. Yeah, full service Marriott, like a Marriott Marquis or Four Seasons, which is Four Seasons, Mandarin Oriental, St. Regis, all those are luxury hotels. They have certain amenities. They have a spa, they have a concierge, they have 24-hour room service. You don't get those same things at a Hampton Inn,
Right.
right? If you need towels, you probably have to go down to the front desk to pick them up, right? It's not that same level. So first things first is really, which is a great question, starting that foundation and really understanding the industry and understanding the different types of hotels to determine what type of hotels you actually want to invest in.
So how much would I have to spend? Like, what's the range from the least service hotel to a full service hotel? How much money would I need to raise?
Oh my God, it depends. You're gonna hear me say that a lot because every deal, so for one, hotels are real estate, right? So it's a operating business sitting on real estate. So a Hampton Inn that you'll get in New York City may not be the same price as a Hampton Inn in Atlanta. So it's hard to say what a range would be because there's some hotels for 400,000 all the way up to $1 billion, right? Or motel probably for 400,000. So it's kind of hard to say like a range. It's just more so the location, of course. So the price really depends on the location, the brand, and how the hotel is going to perform.
So I think I've heard you say that you currently have a hotel ownership group. And so could you explain what that is and perhaps maybe talk about the different ways that people can go about raising capital?
Sure. Well, raising capital, you definitely want to start within your network. Start within your network with raising capital. A lot of people don't realize that they can use or people can invest in deals using their retirement, brokerage, life insurance. Some folks have invested in deals using, lines of credit on their investment properties. So a lot of people don't realize that you can use those type of vehicles to actually invest in a deal, right? So those are some of the ways that you can, be creative and find equity for hotels. To your point, I know you're trying to get me to say a number. The equity raise is a lot higher than you would be if you're trying to do a deal on a single family or a smaller property. Typically, you need about 20 to 30% down. So let's just say the hotel is $5 million. You probably need about $1 million, $1 million to $1.5 million, just depending. So that's just kind of give you an idea, just, rule of thumb, like 20 to 30% down that you'll probably have to put down. That's for an acquisition development, probably a little bit more.
So typically people are pulling together a network of people. Okay.
Yeah, all the time. I've yet to see a deal where it was one person. Yeah, it could be a billionaire and they own the land and they still partner with somebody else.
That makes sense. Like you don't have to take on the risk by yourself. So earlier you alluded,
they use other people's money. I just saw a deal. It was 91. I'm not going to disclose the hotel, but it was a $91 million deal. Billionaire partnered with the firm. They didn't use their own money.
What's in it for them? Do they get the profit off of the operations or what is it?
Yep, you get the profit off the operations. And with hotels, what makes it a sexy asset when you sell the property, and also there's a lot of tax advantages as well. You get a lot of tax benefits.
So earlier you alluded to your first deal in Oklahoma. How did that come about for you?
So again, going back to the partnerships and the relationships, raising capital, we were able to find that deal through relationships. And we bought it during COVID. So think of it as maybe closer to where the real estate industry was in 2008, 2009.
Crashed bottom, kind of rock bottom prices a little bit.
It didn't crash like we thought it was going to crash. It crashed from hotels like closed. A lot of hotels like literally closed. But a lot of hotels, they weren't at discounted prices like houses. So a lot of people started funds, $1 billion funds, thinking they were going to scoop up and buy all these hotels. So that's why I would caution to say it was a crash. It was some discounted prices, but not like we thought it was going to be.
So if I don't have a network of people who know about hotels that are available for sale, where would I go to find these deals?
to find deals. You can go their website. So there's not an MLS for hotels, like for residential, there's like an MLS. I think even but for hotels, it's like all over. Yes. So LoopNet is a great website. 10x, ten-x.com. That's an auction website that you can go to find deals. Building relationships with brokers, with hotel brokers. I want to emphasize that because a lot of times what people do, they'll, no offense to any brokers, but when you work, especially your first hotel deal or your first who you want to work with brokers who specifically has experience in selling hotels, because the underwriting is different, the diligence process is different, the team is different. But going back to how we got to El Reno was just relationships. It was an acquisition deal. It wasn't a development deal. It was already existing. It was a great price, raised capital, and we bought, bought the hotel.
Okay. So you mentioned brokers, and I know that when you're looking at acquiring a property or a hotel, there's a whole team of people. So who are the members of the acquisition teams? And maybe what is some advice that you can give about pulling that team together?
I would start with working with the hotel consultant first, so they can help you connect you with everyone on the team. A hotel consultant or asset manager. They'll and an asset manager is the owner's representative. They have the owner's best interest at heart. Typically, they stay on after the hotel closes too, so they can kind of guide you and advise you on how to make your hotel profitable, so you can, dispose of the asset at a profit. You definitely want to have a broker, hotel broker. Everyone that I'm mentioning on the team has done hotel, has gone to the closing table. That's who you want to work with. Not on your first deal, because you knew, and then you're gonna work with somebody else who knew. Nah,
not a good idea.
Even if you get to the closing table, you done lost about close to $1 million. So you done lost some money somewhere. So you definitely want to have operator. Start looking for the right fight. Right. So hotels really depends on how it operates. That's what's going to make the hotel profitable. The location, of course, the real estate, right? But really it's the operation, because you can have a hotel downtown, Times Square, New York City, but if you don't know how to operate it, it can close down.
Yeah.
Right. So having the right operator, having the right brand for that particular location, having a good attorney. So hotels, a lot of complex documents, meaning you have a franchise agreement, because you're buying into a franchise, you have a management agreement with the operator. If you're bringing in a third party operator, you have the purchase sale agreement. So all of those different agreements that I just mentioned, you want to make sure that you get an attorney who understands how to negotiate those terms legally. And if you don't understand the business terms, and that's when your asset manager comes into play.
That's a big team. So good thing that you have to start with a consultant up front who knows.
Yeah, I would start with one first. You can see why, right?
Exactly. They have the connection. They know the process. Yeah.
Like, where would you go? Like, you can go to Google, but it's a whole vetting process, because the attorney, for a limited service may not be the best attorney for negotiating a luxury service hotel. Right. You may want to get somebody who has experienced one particular brand and not the other. So you want to, that's why it's important to kind of have that consultant, because, they work with people before, they have relationships. I'm a part of a consultant organization. So I have relationships with people who way more, they've been in the industry longer than I've been alive. And I can just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I have this deal. Do you know if I need an attorney? They're like, okay, so that's what I do. Think of me as the connector.
I like it. It. So I actually do watch this show on Netflix where I forget the name, but it's two girls who are going everywhere and starting, they started their own hotel brand. So they're going, and the show is about them developing it. But you mentioned that the way you operate a business can make or break it. What are some?
I heard about that. It's like motels. They coming in the old motels, and
yeah.
But I haven't seen it yet.
I think I saw like a clip.
Like, they do. The show. I think of you.
It's a sign. It's a sign. Maybe you should be like the 501st hotel brand that's out there. But I'm wondering, I know people have a lot of hype around the purchasing, the finding, the chase, right? The closing. But once
Yeah.
you own a hotel, what are some of the things that could really make or break it? I think you mentioned just the way that you operate it, but what are some of those landmines that you need to be aware of?
Well, any business owner knows that you have to control costs.
Mm,
And so those are one of the things that, so hotels are about, at the end of the day, you can't, it's an experience. It's customer service. I'm sure you stayed at a hotel and you remember the best service, that was the best service you ever received. You probably either gone back or you recommended it, right? Or you
mm-hmm.
left a review.
Yep.
And I'm sure there was a hotel where you had the worst experience ever and you will never go back, like ever. And you probably wrote a review and you probably
Yeah.
wrote a letter. And he's like, I'm never going to go back.
Mm.
Well, that right there is a part of performance, no matter how much you can control, the expenses. The goal of a hotel is to get guests in the hotel to stay there and to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you have to, now the hotel industry is facing a lot of disruptors. Airbnb.
Yep.
That's a huge disruptor. I don't think I get this question all the time. Do you think Airbnb is I don't think it's going to take over the hotel industry. It's a threat. It's taking revenue share. I don't think it's going anywhere because it's a win-win for too many people. And also technology. But from operational wise, as far as what I would recommend, and even, with my property, what you have to do as an owner, you have to, again, control expenses, but again, create the best experience possible for your guests. So when I talk to my management company, I want to know what's going on with the guests. Are they happy? Why aren't they happy? If they're not happy, what are we doing to fix it? And then also you have to take care of your employees.
Mm.
I'm really big on that. I'm really big on taking care of the employees, for one, because I guess I was a front desk agent. So I remember what it was like, and it wasn't too far. It wasn't like 35 years ago. So I remember it was like 15 years ago. I still remember it. Right. And so taking care of your employees, another thing. Because when you take care of your employees take care of you, meaning they take care of your business. So I'm here in Georgia. I'm talking to you from Georgia. My hotel is in Oklahoma, right? So have people who are on the front lines, cleaning rooms, checking in guests, and, making sure as an owner to make sure that they're comfortable and that they're happy, so that way they can go to work every day, do what they have to do, and again, make the guests happy. If they're unhappy at their job, either one, they're going to leave, or two, they're going to make the guest experience unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you acquired a hotel during COVID. So what kind of challenges have you seen for yourself as an owner, or for some of your peers that also own hotels?
Again, going back to controlling costs, I know some of my peers, they bought hotels that depended a lot on business travelers.
Yeah.
And that's something I stay away from. Again, I used to work in a hotel, right? And so I worked in a business travel. It was a convention hotel, depended on business travel. That was the bulk of our business. So I was working in a hotel when the last recession, they cut hours like crazy. People who trained me, people who were like older enough to be my grandma, they were getting laid off. I still remember that. So when I buy hotels, I look at demand generators. And what a demand generator is something that will bring that demand to your hotel, or bring that. So think of it as like Disney World is a demand generator. A university is a demand generator. A hospital is a demand generator. So when you buy a hotel, when you're thinking about buying a hotel, nobody's staying at the hotel because the hotel was cool. They're staying at the hotel because the hotel was cool, but they were doing something else.
Yeah.
In a hotel, they just want to be, they're just feeding it, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, it's in the middle of nowhere and it's just great experience. Nobody's traveling for unless it's like a staycation, but staycations aren't going to fill up your hotel, right? So some peers, and what happened in the industry when people stopped. So one thing about the hospitality industry, it's the first thing to get cut when it's an economic downturn, right?
Yeah.
Every time it's some type of recession, there's an economic downturn, the hospitality industry is the worst one hit. Because what's the first thing that happens?
All your travel, anything that's just leisure activity goes.
Because you still try to get your hair done. You still try to you may scratch your nails. You may do some things to cut corners. You may cut clothes, but you still kind of need that. But but travel, you cut that. It's cut. Right? Yeah. As you can see with COVID. And so that's what happened with a lot of hotels. This was even worse than 9/11. And what happened with a lot of hotels is that a lot of hotels, they couldn't, it was costing more to close.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. And so that's what happened with COVID. It was just complete stop. Nobody was traveling. Maybe like, I know some hotel, when you have a hotel that's like over 1,000 rooms and it's like
empty, Woo.
Like 8% occupancy, like 5 people checking in. Oh my. Yeah.
So when you think about the sort of income you as an individual who needs to pay bills could get from a hotel, is that in itself enough to live on? Or as you said earlier, sometimes the money is made when you sell the hotel. So is this something that someone's going to live off of if they own a hotel?
Yes, but it also depends on your strategy, right? So, and also depends on the type of property. Like a full service hotel, it takes more money to run and it takes more money to put in. So typically companies buy those big full service hotels, right?
Yeah.
Someone maybe like a small business, because over 60% of the hotels in the United States are owned by small businesses. And remember what I said before, over 50% of the hotels in the United States are owned by Indians. Well, that was their full-time job, and they were able to grow with the model of starting with like a Super 8, and some of it that was their full-time job. So yes, you can, but it also depends on what's your strategy. Like if you get more of like an economy hotel, that's more of like a cash flowing property. So meaning it's less expenses, less overhead. So that means more money is going directly to the bottom line. So yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's something that people will be considering when they're thinking about this.
Now is this a business? So that's why I paused. You have to do the work, right? Because the hotel somebody still has to check in, clean the toilets, you know what I mean? All this stuff, make beds. So you have to staff it. And so some people, what they do, they get a hotel where they bring in a third-party management company, or they bring in somebody else. And so that cuts in a little bit of the cost. And some people just do it all on their own. So it just depends on your strategy. And I call it an ownership or investment thesis, what works for you.
Yeah. So different approaches. Either you're doing this as a side investment and you have, a team that's really supporting the day-to-day, or this is going to be your bread and butter and you're clocking in at the hotel every day and everything goes into your pocket essentially. Yeah.
So again, it's up to you. Some people, they do a buy and hold strategy, meaning they buy the hotel. They're really not looking at cash flow. Of course, they have other, things going for themselves, of course, to pay bills. But, by the time they sell the hotel, they're selling it for millions and millions of dollars. So that's what I'm saying. It depends on
your strategy.
Yeah.
So you currently own a hotel. What is your goal? Where are you trying to be in the next 5 or 10 years as far as from a hotel ownership perspective?
The goal is to get a Hyatt. So yeah. Well, I started at a Hyatt.
Yes, exactly. I mean, wow, what a full circle moment the day you close on a Hyatt.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Everybody knows, even the CEO of Hyatt, he knows I want a Hyatt. Everybody knows I want a Hyatt. So the goal is to get a Hyatt. Get a Hyatt. I am working on a project. It's pretty huge. I can't wait to share. So that's going to be, and it still has something to do with hotels.
Okay.
But it's something different. It's new to me. It's something I've never done, but I felt like everything that I've been doing has led me to this point. Okay. So I'll share it with you. And you'll say, please. Davonne, that is pretty huge.
I cannot wait. But you
Yeah.
also have a mission where you are trying to get more Black
Yeah, I'm
people,
trying to
Black
get,
women into the industry. And
yeah.
what are the ways that you're doing that?
Yeah, definitely through education, through courses, being on, talking to people,
Mm,
just planting a seed, even if they don't do it in 2022, maybe they'll do it in 2023, right? You ask, from 5 years from now, I would love for, someone who come up to me and say, hey, Davonne, because of you, I'm buying a hotel.
mm,
Somebody just sent me a text earlier today, and it wasn't a hotel, but they bought an investment property because their goal is to get to a hotel. So just starting that, or
mm.
getting starting off with like an Airbnb and understanding the model, and then potentially growing into a hotel. It's exciting, talking to people,
Mm.
and hearing how they wanted to own a hotel, but they didn't know how. They didn't think it was possible until they heard my story. So that's actually what keeps me going.
Mm.
I have some other ideas, but right now I'm working on this huge project that I can't wait. It should be out. The project is going to launch in 2022.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that. Now, for anyone who's excited about what you're doing and they really want to follow in your footsteps, where can we find you? Where can we learn more about you?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on Instagram at Devin Reeves, DAVONNEREAVES. You can go to my website, www.thevonnegroup.com. Pretty much on, I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook. But yeah, just follow me on Instagram. I have a Facebook group called Black Hotel Investors. So definitely connect with me. Love to share. Like, I have a book coming out January 25th. So pre-order your copy today. And yeah, those are the ways you can connect with me.
If you enjoyed my conversation with Davonne, don't forget that we have over 150 audio episodes you can binge listen to on she'soffscript.com. Before we leave, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our videos whenever we drop them every Thursday. All right, we'll see you back here for the next one. Bye.